What's going on YouTube? Timmy's here. Here is my Throwback 7, where I talk about the films that turns 10, 20, 30, and 40 this week. Alright, the films turning 10 this week is not the first film, which I'll talk about in December, but it's the second one, and that is Dumb and Dumber 2. Now, of course, this is the long-awaited follow-up to the original Dumb and Dumber from 1994. It was about like 20 years wait in between. Now, not many people really liked it or anything like that, but I had a fun time with the sequel. I mean, wasn't as good as the original, obviously not, but I still quite enjoyed it. It was really cool, see Harry and Lloyd all back together and seeing Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels reprise their roles was pretty cool. You also had Kathleen Turner was in this, a very fun cameo by Bill Murray, which I thought was really cool. Whether we ever get another Dumb and Dumber, that has to see, but I really quite enjoyed the second one a lot, and yeah, it's a shame not many people really liked it. But come on, at least it's far better than that terrible prequel. Remember, like when Harry met Lloyd? Yeah, that was so terrible. Anyway, also turning 10, we got Beyond the Lights, which stars Gugu Mafara, who you might know from what you call Loki, and she's been in other stuff here and there. You also have Nate Parker, who sadly doesn't really do much acting anymore for obvious reasons. Not going to go into any details with that one. You also had Machine Gun Kelly, Danny Glover, Minnie Driver, and it's pretty much about like this fast rising pop star overwhelmed by fame and demands of her ruthless stage mother, falls for a cop who comes to rescue her when she needs it the most. It's actually not a bad little film. I remember watching this one in theaters back in 2014. I thought it was pretty decent, pretty charming. The chemistry between Raw and Parker is pretty decent. Very underrated little film, to say the least. Also turning 10, we got Foxcatcher, directed by Bennett Miller, who crazily this was actually his last film he directed. He still plans to do another film. Not sure when he's doing that. But Bennett Miller, of course, gave us movies like Capote, Moneyball, and Foxcatcher starred the likes of Steve Carell, Channing Tatum, Mark Ruffalo. If you guys want to see how great Channing Tatum is as an actor, go watch Foxcatcher. I gotta say, Foxcatcher was really the movie that made me go, Channing Tatum has better acting abilities than I expected. If you guys don't know much about the story, of course, the movie did score tons of Oscar nominations. It starts Steve Carell in a very interesting and terrifying performance. If you guys don't know much about Foxcatcher, it's plot is loosely based on the events surrounding multimillionaire E.I. DuPont family here and wrestling enthusiast John DuPont's 1986's recruitment of the 1984 U.S. Olympic gold medalist wrestlers. Um, and of course, Mark Schultz and his older brother David to help coach the U.S. Wrestlers in participation. And he's, of course, is that about the subsequent murder of David Schultz by DuPont in January 96. And Steve Carell is scary in this. Like, when you think of Steve Carell, obviously you always think of him doing comedy like The Office, Anchorman, 4-Year Version. Now, he did some drama beforehand, but holy cow, this one really showed a different side of Steve Carell. And I believe he actually scored an Oscar. Yeah, Steve Carell actually got an Oscar nomination for this, and also Mark Ruffalo got one too. I think Channing Tatum should have got an Oscar nomination, but that's just me. Vanessa Redgrave was in this. Sienna Miller. I mean, okay, Anthony Michael Hall was in this too. If you guys have not seen Foxcatcher, do yourself a favor, go watch it. It's a really excellent film, worth giving a go. And we also got a couple of smaller films that also turns 10. The terrible Kirk Cameron film called Saving Christmas, which was a major Razzie winner. Like, Kirk Cameron won Worst Actor, it won Worst Picture. I believe Kirk Cameron won for Worst Director. It's an awful, awful movie. Oh my god. I love a good Christmas film, but there are Christmas movies that I think are terrible. Saving Christmas is definitely up there. Alright, there's also The Homesman, which I remember watching. It's kind of boring. It starred the likes of Tom Lee Jones, who directed it, Hilary Swank, Meryl Streep, Jesse Plemons, Haley Steinfeld. And it's where Mary B. Katie, who's a frontier farmer, saves the lives of a clam jumper, George breaks and persuades him to help her escort three women who has suffered breakdowns station in Ohio, and it's a little boring to be honest, and not really anything to go by. You also got Rosewater, which was directed by Jon Stewart, who obviously is the host of The Daily Show. And he also directed, speaking of Steve Carell, I forgot the name of it, but he directed that one political movie that Steve Carell did a couple years back. This is actually based on true story that stars Gail Garcia Bernard, where it recounts Bahari's 2009 imprisonment by Iran, connected to an interview by participated on the Daily Show that same year. It's an okay fun film. I mean, it's of course is true story. Jon Stewart did an okay job, so not a bad one there. There's also the movie Sex Ed, which starred Haley Joel Osment, where a new teacher's attempt to provide his students with some form of education lands him in hot water with local reverend. And this movie is actually pretty fun. Of course, you have Haley Joel Osment. This was one of Glenn Powell's earliest film before he became a bigger star as he is now. You also had Parker Young, Abby Elliott, Eli Roth's wife or girlfriend, Lorenzo Izzo was in this. Pretty fun little comedy if you guys haven't seen that. All right, films turning 20 this week. Boy, we got some good ones here. We got The Polar Express. Of course, this starring Tom, or featured the voices of Tom Hanks, directed by Rob Zemeckis, who obviously worked with Tom Hanks before on Forrest Gump, as well as Castaway. Most recent, he just put out Here, which was pretty disappointing. Now, if you guys don't know much about the Polar Express, the film features human characters animated using live action and motion capture, and it's set on Christmas Eve in 1950s and tells the story of a young kid who sees a mysterious train bound for the North Pole stop outside the window and is invited aboard by its conductor. Now, Tom Hanks, of course, voices tons of characters, one of which is, of course, he voices Santa Claus. And the Polar Express is an excellent one. The animation is pretty good. Robert Zemeckis actually did these stuff pretty well. He also did that Christmas Carol one with Jim Carrey. Remember Beowulf? He also did. It's been a while since he did a motion capture anime, other than maybe Pinocchio, but still, Polar Express is really this one. All right. Turning 20, we got Bridget Jones, The Edge of Reason. Now, of course, the trailer was just for the new one was just released this week. The sequel is not really so good. I love the first Bridget Jones. It's really decent, cute, charming film. The third one's actually pretty decent as well. The fourth one does look intriguing. This time around, in the sequel, you got once again you got Renee Zellweger, who working as a TV host and is dating barrister Mark. But Bridget is of course jealous of the time Mark spends with coworker Justina, played by Justina Barrett. And of course, despite a vacation meant to smooth things over, as a relationship and on assignment in Thailand, she has this with her ex played by Hugh Grant. And again, I was never too big with the sequel. The first one's good. The sequel wasn't. The third one's pretty decent. Who knows how good the fourth one's going to be? Sadly, that's going straight to Peacock, but we'll see how it is. All right. Also turning 20. We also got the movie After the Sunset, which stars Pierce Brosnan, directed by Brett Ratner. Also got Woody Harrelson, Don Cheadle, and it's where Pierce Brosnan plays Max Burdett, a master thief caught in pursuit with FBI agent Stan Lloyd, played by Woody Harrelson. And it's actually a pretty fun little heist-based comedy. Pierce Brosnan and Salma Hayek had great chemistry in this. Woody Harrelson was pretty decent. Really nice little film if you guys haven't seen that. All right. Also turning 20, we got Finding Neverland, which was a biographical film directed by Mark Forster, who gave us Monsters Ball and many others. And it's actually based on the author of about playwright J.M. Barrie and his relationship with the family who inspired him to create Peter Pan. So, of course, this is about the author Peter Pan. You also had Freddie Highmore a year before, Johnny. It starred Johnny Depp and Freddie Highmore. It was a year before they did Charlie and Chocolate Factory together. And Finding Neverland is a really nice, charming film. Really showcase on JM's like how he created Peter Pan and everything. You also have Dustin Hoffman, who obviously played Captain Hook in the movie Hook, so it was really funny to see him in this. Kate Winslet was in this. Kelly McDonald's a really decent cast members. If you guys haven't really seen Finding Neverland, definitely give that one a go. Also turning 20 is Kinsey, which is described the life of Alfred Charles Kinsey, played by Liam Neeson, a pioneer in the era of sexology, and his 1948 publication. So of course you have the likes of Laura Linney was in this, who actually got an Oscar nomination for this. Liam Neeson was actually pretty solid in Kinsey. Uh, Tim Curry was also in this. John Lithgow, some really decent supporting players. Um, it was also directed by Bill Condon, who will go on to direct like Dreamgirls, the last two Twilight movies, Beauty and the Beast. He's done some other cool stuff here and there. Really nice flick. And another film turning 20 that I forgot to mention is Seed of Chucky. Holy cow, Seed of Chucky turns 20 this week. So many people trash on Seed of Chucky and everything, and I understand why. There is some cringy moments in it. I mean, the scene with Chucky, I'm not going into any details, but the scene with Chucky and a cup. That's all you gotta know. A Chucky, a cup, and a magazine. That's all you gotta know. I'm not gonna say any more. But if you guys watch Sea of Chucky, you know what I'm talking about. Like, I could have done it without that scene. I think that's actually the one scene in this movie that a lot of people really trash on. But I still quite so hardly enjoy Sea of Chucky. You know, of course, you have Jennifer Tilly in this. Redman, obviously the introduction to Glenn and Glenda, who obviously we ended up seeing return for the new season of Chucky or the TV show Chucky. Now, of course, you guys don't know much about Sea of Chucky. It was, of course, written and directed by Don Mancini and is set 6 years after Bride Chucky and follows a young Dawn named Glenn, and the son of Chucky and Tiffany resurrects his parents, causing chaos and all. And, of course, you got Jennifer Tilly obviously plays both Jennifer Tilly and Tiffany in this. There's so much stuff to love about this one. Obviously, the John Waters cameo, which funny enough, John Waters will go on to cameo in the last season of Chucky, which I thought was cool. Uh, still stinks that Sci-Fi got rid of the new Chucky series, but whatever. Of course, Brad Dourif is great in this. Lots of really killer kills in it. I mean, I don't care what anyone says. Seed of Chucky was awesome. Sadly, it would pretty much be the last like theatrical Chucky movie we have, unless you count the Child's Play remake, obviously. But I'm talking about in this universe. Obviously, the other Chucky movies like Cult, Curse will go to the uh VOD and DVD. Hopefully, we get Chucky back on the big screen one of these days, but we'll see. But I don't care what anyone says. Sea of Chucky is hands down awesome. All right, films turning 30 this week. Just in time for Christmas is The Santa Claus, starring Tim Allen as Scott Calvin, who of course causes like Santa Claus to pretty much fall in his roof, and of course obviously he becomes Santa Claus and all. Uh, who doesn't love the original Santa Claus? I mean, Santa Claus 2 is pretty decent. Not really too big with Santa Claus 3. The Santa Claus TV shows actually was not so bad. I mean, I wonder if we're ever going to see the Santa Claus return to Disney Plus. I mean, with Tim Allen having that new TV show with Kat Dennings, who knows if that's going to happen. But hey, the original Santa Claus is still a timeless classic. I adore the original Santa Claus. You know, I just rewatched it on Disney Plus this past week. The movie still holds up. Tim Allen, I mean, of course, he's a Disney legend with with the Santa Claus. He of course followed that up with Toy Story and all. And he's so great as Scott Calvin. This movie has lots of fun moments to it. It's really timeless. You know, it's a Christmas classic worth giving a go. And who else didn't like? I mean, Judge Reinhold. Of course, you had David Krumholtz as Bernard. I mean, lots of stuff to love about the Santa Claus. Alright, also turning 30 is Interview with the Vampire, which I actually quite enjoy. Of course, you have Tom Cruise um, as Lestat and Brad Pitt as Lewis, beginning with Lewis's transformation into a vampire by Lestat in 1791. You, of course, have a very young Kristen Dunst, who I believe this was her first feature, if I'm not mistaken. Christian Slater, Antonio Banderas was in this. Interview with the Vampire, which of course is based on a book by Anne Rice. It of course will go on to get turned into a TV show, which isn't so bad either. But Interview with the Vampire is a really cool one. You know, Tom Cruise played Lestat perfectly. Love Brad Pitt in this. Some very weird moments. That's a little awkward to watch now, but it's still a really decent one worth giving a go. Alright, films turning 40, we got the Chuck Norris classic Missing in Action. Now, of course, they will do a sequel in 1985 as well. You know this this movie, of course, stars Chuck Norris and set in the Vietnam War. POW slash MIA issue Colonel Braddock, who escaped the Vietnamese prisoner of war camp 10 years earlier, and he returns to Vietnam to fight American soldiers listed in missing in action in the Vietnam War. And again, there will actually be a prequel. There will actually be a sequel as well. I mean, the first Missing in Action is actually a pretty fun little 80s action fare. You know, it's not as iconic as other like 80s action movies like Die Hard or Terminator or anything like that. But Missing in Action is still pretty fun. Directed by Joseph Zito, who did a great job. Chuck Norris, who you don't really see much anymore. Like the last time I saw him in something was Expendables 3, if I'm not mistaken. But you know, obviously he was a legend in the 80s, 90s, stuff like that, and he's still always amazing. All right. Also turning 40 is Night of the Comet, which is a really nice 80s sci-fi horror comedy. Directed by horror icons Catherine Mary Stewart and Kelly Maroney, as survivors of a comet that turned most people into either dust or zombies. And this movie is actually a really fun 80s fare. You know, it's not like a great film or anything like that, but it's really cool to check out. But let's be real. If this movie came out today, I guarantee you right now, the woke mobsters will be calling this movie woke because of how strong these females are. Yeah, just if you go watch Night of the Comet, just look back and just think, yeah, if this movie was released today, you could definitely see people calling this thing woke in today's society. But whatever. So Night of the Comet is a pretty fun 80s B movie gem. I don't care. This movie is actually right for a remake today. I'll love to see a remake of Night of the Comet. You know, it's a really fun little horror action film worth giving a go. You know, directed by Tom Elbart, he did a good job with this. Stuart Maroney did a really good job. I mean, if you guys haven't seen Night of the Comet, I think give it a go. You might enjoy it or you might not enjoy it. But that's pretty much it there. Let me to you guys, which of these films stand out to you the most? To me, the 10-year one, I should probably say Dumb and Dumber 2 because that movie is a lot of fun. But I'm actually going to go with Foxcatcher. I really quite like Foxcatcher a lot. The 20-year one, sorry Polar Express, sorry Bridget Jones, Fine Neverland. I'm actually going to go with Sea of Chucky. That just holds a little bit of place in my heart. 30-year one, I'm going to go with the Santa Claus. And the 40-year one is actually going to Night of the Comet. Anyway, drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notification. This is Sammy signing.